Queen Vexithara stood in her crystal palace, watching the stars through walls that sparkled like diamonds. For 300 years she had ruled the Zephyrian Empire. Her people respected her wisdom and feared her power. But today the mighty queen felt completely helpless. Her 3 daughters were gone. Princess Zara, the eldest, had vanished from her bedroom in the night. Princess Kira disappeared from the royal library where she loved to read. Princess Naya, the youngest, was taken from the palace gardens where she tended her flowers. All 3 had been protected by the best security in the galaxy. Yet somehow all 3 had simply disappeared without a trace. The queen's advisors gathered around her throne, their crystal bodies shimmering with worry. General Corax, her military commander, spoke first. His voice was deep and serious. "My queen, we have searched every corner of the palace. Our soldiers have checked every ship that left the planet. We found nothing." Dr. Velith, the head scientist, stepped forward. Her crystal form glowed blue with concentration. "We used our best scanning equipment. We checked for teleportation signatures, hidden passages, and dimensional rifts. There is no evidence of how they were taken." Ambassador Thane, the diplomat, looked nervous. "The other empires have been contacted. The Krogan Confederacy says they have no information. The Ethereal Collective claims they know nothing. Even the trade union has found no traces of the princesses." Queen Vexithara felt her crystal heart growing cold. In her long life, she had faced many enemies. She had fought in wars and survived assassination attempts. But this was different. This enemy was invisible, untraceable, and had taken what mattered most to her. "What about our telepathic trackers?" she asked. General Corax shook his head. "They tried to follow the mental imprints of the princesses, but it was like the girls never existed. Their thoughts just stopped." The queen closed her eyes. In Zephyrian culture, the royal daughters were more than family. They were the future of the empire. Without them, her bloodline would end, and the empire would fall into chaos when she died. Days passed with no progress. The best investigators in the galaxy worked day and night, but found nothing. The Krogan military experts could not explain how anyone could break through Zephyrian security. The ethereal scientists could not understand how 3 people could vanish so completely. On the 7th day, Ambassador Thane approached the queen with a suggestion that shocked everyone. "My queen," he said carefully, "there is one option we have not considered." "Speak," the queen commanded. "The humans." The throne room fell silent. General Corax made a sound of disgust. Dr. Velith laughed coldly. The other advisors whispered among themselves. "The humans?" General Corax said. "Those primitive creatures from that backward planet called Earth? They barely have space travel. They fight wars with metal weapons. They are nothing compared to us." Ambassador Thane held up a crystal hand. "That may be true, General. But remember what happened 2 years ago. The stellar war between the Krogan, the Ethereals, and the trade union had lasted for decades. Millions died. No one could find a solution." The queen remembered. The 3 empires had been locked in a war that threatened to destroy half the galaxy. Every attempt at peace had failed. Then, Ambassador Thane continued, the humans sent one negotiator. Just one man. Marcus Chen was his name. In 6 months, he did what our best diplomats could not do in decades. He ended the war. How? Dr. Velith asked. No one knows exactly. The humans think differently than we do. They see solutions where we see only problems. They find paths where we see only walls. General Corax snorted. That was luck. Nothing more. Perhaps, Ambassador Thane said. But what if it was not luck? What if humans really do think in ways we cannot understand? Our methods have failed completely. Maybe we need someone who thinks like no one else in the galaxy. Queen Vexithara considered this. The idea of asking humans for help felt like admitting weakness. Her people were advanced, intelligent, and powerful. Humans were young, chaotic, and unpredictable. But her daughters were gone and nothing else had worked. Contact this Marcus Chen, she ordered. 3 days later, a small human ship docked with the Crystal Palace. Marcus Chen was not what the Queen expected. He was average height for a human, with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. He looked completely ordinary. The Queen received him in her throne room, surrounded by her guards and advisors. Marcus walked forward without fear, though he was surrounded by beings who could crush him with a thought. Your Majesty, Marcus said, bowing slightly. I am sorry for the loss of your daughters. I am here to help if I can. The Queen studied this small, fragile creature. Human, do you understand what you are facing? The best minds in the galaxy have failed to solve this mystery. What makes you think you can succeed? Marcus smiled. It was a strange expression that the Zephyrians did not understand. Your Majesty, sometimes the best minds are the problem. When everyone thinks the same way, they all miss the same clues. I think differently than your people do. Maybe that will help. General Korak stepped forward. Human, this crime scene has been examined by experts with equipment you cannot even understand. What could you possibly find that we have missed? I do not know yet, Marcus said honestly. But I would like to try. Sometimes fresh eyes see what experienced ones cannot. The Queen made her decision. Very well. You may examine the crime scenes. But know this, human. If you waste my time or fail to show respect for my daughter's memory, you will face my anger. Marcus nodded seriously. I understand, Your Majesty. I will do everything I can to bring your daughters home. As Marcus was led away to begin his investigation, the advisors gathered around the Queen. My Queen, Dr. Velith said, are you certain about this? Humans are known for their chaos and unpredictability. They might disturb important evidence. Or, the Queen said quietly, they might find what we cannot see. Marcus spent hours in each princess's room, examining everything with simple human tools and his own eyes. The Zephyrian investigators watched him with confusion. He did not use advanced scanners or quantum analyzers. Instead, he looked at small details. The way furniture was arranged, the patterns of dust on surfaces, the direction of light from windows. In Princess Zara's room, he noticed that her jewelry box was slightly turned. In Princess Kira's library, he saw that one book was pushed back further than the others. In Princess Naya's garden, he found that one flower was broken in an unusual way. The Zephyrian investigators had seen these things too, but dismissed them as unimportant. Marcus, however, began to see a pattern. That evening, he requested a meeting with the Queen. Your Majesty, he said, I believe your daughters were not taken by strangers. Someone they knew and trusted was involved. The throne room erupted in angry voices. General Korak stepped forward threateningly. That is impossible, human. Everyone in this palace has been loyal for generations. How dare you suggest, General? The Queen said firmly. Let him speak, Marcus continued calmly. The evidence suggests the princesses were not afraid when they were taken. They went willingly with someone they trusted. And the person who took them knew exactly how your security systems work. Prove it, Dr. Velith demanded. Marcus smiled again. I intend to. But first, Your Majesty, I need to ask you something important. Do you trust me enough to let me investigate your own people? The Queen looked at this small human who was asking her to suspect her most loyal servants. It went against everything she believed, but her daughters were still missing and no one else had found any answers. Yes, human. I trust you. Find my daughters no matter what the cost, Marcus bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. The real investigation begins now. Marcus began his real investigation the next morning. He asked Queen Vexithera for permission to speak with everyone in the palace, servants, guards, advisors, and guests. The Queen agreed, though her advisors looked worried. Human, General Korax warned. These people have served the royal family for generations. If you insult them or accuse them falsely, there will be consequences. Marcus nodded. I understand, General. I will be respectful. But Marcus's idea of investigation was very different from what the Zephyrians expected. Instead of formal questioning, he simply talked to people. He asked servants about their daily routines. He chatted with guards about their duties. He discussed palace history with the older workers. The Zephyrians found this strange. Their own investigators had questioned everyone already, using mind-reading techniques and truth scanners. Marcus just talked like he was making friends. Dr. Velith followed Marcus around, watching his methods with confusion. Human, why do you not use proper investigation tools? We have machines that can detect lies instantly. Those machines are very good, Marcus agreed. But sometimes people tell the truth about what they think happened, even when they are wrong. I want to understand how people feel, not just what they know. On the second day, Marcus made an interesting discovery. He was talking to Kess, an old servant who cleaned the princess's rooms. Kess, Marcus said, you have worked here for many years. You must know the princesses very well. Kess's crystal body glowed with sadness. Yes, human. I watched them grow up. They are like my own children. Tell me about the night they disappeared. Did you notice anything strange? Kes thought carefully. Well, there was one thing, but it is probably nothing. Please tell me. Even small things can be important. 3 days before they vanished, all 3 princesses asked me the same question. They wanted to know about the old stories, the legends of the Shadowkin. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. The Shadowkin? Who are they? Ancient enemies of our people, Kes explained. They were defeated long ago and driven into the dark regions of space. But the old stories say they could make themselves invisible and steal children in the night. Dr. Valeth, who had been listening, made a dismissive sound. Kes, those are just old tales to frighten children. The Shadowkin are extinct. But Marcus looked very interested. Kes, why did the princesses want to know about these stories? I do not know. They said they had heard something interesting and wanted to learn more. Princess Kira even asked me to find the old books about Shadowkin history. That evening, Marcus went to the royal library where Princess Kira had spent much of her time. He found the books about Shadowkin history exactly where Kes had said they would be. When he opened them, he discovered something the Zephyrian investigators had missed. The books had been read recently. Not just read, studied carefully. Someone had made notes in the margins using a special ink that could only be seen under human spectrum light. The Zephyrians could not see these notes because their eyes worked differently. Marcus read the hidden notes carefully. They were questions and comments about Shadowkin technology, their hiding places, and their methods of taking prisoners. Whoever wrote these notes was learning about the Shadowkin very carefully. But the handwriting was not from any of the princesses. Marcus had seen their writing in other books. This was someone else, someone who knew the princesses would read these books. Marcus brought his discovery to Queen Vexithara immediately. Your Majesty, he said, someone has been planning this kidnapping for weeks, maybe months. They use the library to teach your daughters about the Shadowkin, making them curious about these old enemies. The Queen studied the hidden notes. But who could have written these? And why make my daughters curious about the Shadowkin? I think, Marcus said slowly, someone wanted your daughters to trust them. They told the princesses they had discovered something amazing about the Shadowkin, maybe a hidden treasure or lost technology. The princesses became excited and agreed to go with this person secretly. General Corax frowned, but that would mean the traitor is someone the princesses trusted completely. Someone who could enter the library without suspicion, and who knew the princesses well enough to predict their interests. Marcus nodded. Exactly. And there is something else. The person who wrote these notes made a mistake. They used human spectrum ink because they thought no one would notice. But they did not know that humans would be investigating. Dr. Veleth looked puzzled. But why would they use ink that humans could see? That makes no sense. Unless, Marcus said grimly. They were expecting humans to be involved in this investigation from the beginning. The room fell silent. Queen Vexthara's crystal body glowed red with anger. You are saying someone planned not just to take my daughters, but to bring you here as well? It is possible, Your Majesty. Someone may be playing a much larger game than we realized. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He walked through the palace halls thinking about the case. The kidnapping was too perfect, too well planned. Someone with inside knowledge had arranged everything carefully. As he walked past the communication center, he heard voices. 2 palace workers were talking quietly. Marcus stopped to listen. The human is getting too close, one voice said. Ambassador Krivak is worried. Marcus's blood went cold. Ambassador Krivak was one of Queen Vexithara's most trusted advisors. He had been present during all the meetings about the investigation. What should we do? The second voice asked. Krivak has a plan. The human will have an accident soon. Make it look natural. Marcus backed away quietly, his mind racing. He had found the traitor, but now he was in terrible danger. He needed to warn the queen, but how could he prove what he had heard? The next morning, Marcus felt sick after eating breakfast. The palace doctor said it was just stress, but Marcus knew better. Someone had tried to poison him. The dose was not enough to kill, but it was a warning. Marcus decided to test his theory. He told Ambassador Krivak that he had found important evidence in the palace basement and planned to investigate that afternoon. Then he waited to see what would happen. That afternoon, as Marcus went to the basement, the light suddenly went out. Emergency systems failed. The air circulation stopped. Marcus found himself trapped in darkness, slowly running out of air. But Marcus had expected this. He had brought his own emergency air supply and a human-made flashlight that worked differently from Zephyrian technology. He also had a small communicator to call for help. When the palace guards rescued him 2 hours later, Marcus had all the proof he needed. The accident had been too convenient. Someone with access to palace systems had tried to kill him. Queen Vexithera was furious when she heard what happened. "Bring me Ambassador Krivak immediately," she commanded. But when the guards went to find Krivak, he was gone. His quarters were empty, and his personal ship had left the palace during the night. "Your Majesty," Marcus said, "I believe Ambassador Krivak is working with the Shadowkin. He has been feeding them information about palace security and helping them plan the kidnapping." The Queen's crystal body blazed with anger. "If this is true, then Krivak has betrayed everything our people stand for. He has served my family for 50 years. I am sorry, Your Majesty, but the evidence is clear. And if I am right, your daughters are being held by the Shadowkin somewhere in space." General Korak stepped forward. "But the Shadowkin were destroyed centuries ago. How could they still exist?" Marcus looked grim. Maybe they were not destroyed? Maybe they just learned to hide better. And now they want revenge against your people. Queen Vexithara stood up from her throne. For the first time since her daughters disappeared, she looked determined instead of helpless. "Human, you have done what my best investigators could not do. You have found our enemy. Now we must find my daughters before it is too late." Marcus bowed. "Your Majesty, I will not rest until your daughters are home safely. But we must be careful. If the Shadowkin are really behind this, they are more dangerous than we imagined." The Queen nodded. "Then we will face this danger together. From now on, Marcus Chen, you are under my personal protection, and I am placing my complete trust in your human methods." As the Queen spoke these words, alarms began ringing throughout the palace. General Korax received an urgent message on his communicator. "My Queen," he said with fear in his voice, "our sensors have detected multiple ships approaching. They are using some kind of cloaking technology we have never seen before." Marcus and the Queen looked at each other. "The Shadowkin," Marcus said quietly. "They know we are getting close to the truth." The Queen's eyes blazed with determination. "Then let them come. They want to fight? They will have one." The palace shook as the first energy blast hit the outer shields. Marcus ran beside Queen Vexithara as they rushed toward the command center. Palace guards surrounded them, their crystal armor glowing with power. "Report," the Queen demanded as they entered the war room. General Korax looked up from his displays, his face grim. 20 ships, Your Majesty. They appeared from nowhere. Our sensors could not detect them until they started firing. The technology is completely unknown. Shadowkin, Marcus said. They have been hiding in space for centuries, developing new weapons. Dr. Velith was studying her instruments with confusion. These energy signatures make no sense. It is like the ships are not completely real. They phase in and out of our dimension. Marcus felt a chill. Your Majesty, this attack is not meant to destroy the palace. It is a distraction. What do you mean? General Korax asked. Think about it. If the Shadowkin wanted to kill you, they would use their best weapons immediately. But they are holding back. They want us focused on the battle while they do something else. As if to prove Marcus's point, the attack suddenly stopped. The palace fell silent except for the sound of emergency alarms. Why did they stop? The Queen asked. Marcus was already moving toward the door. Because they are inside. The attack was cover for an infiltration. Your Majesty, we need to get you to a secure location immediately. But as they left the command center, the lights went out. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the crystal walls. In those shadows, Marcus saw movement. Get down, he shouted, tackling Queen Vexithera to the floor just as an energy bolt flew through the space where her head had been. The palace guards fired at the shadows, but their weapons seemed to pass right through the attackers. The Shadowkin had not just developed cloaking technology. They could become partially invisible to most forms of detection. Marcus pulled the Queen behind a crystal pillar as more energy bolts flew around them. Your Majesty, can your people see these attackers? Barely, the Queen gasped. They are like ghosts, there but not there. But I can see them clearly, Marcus realized. Human eyes work differently. To me, they look like dark shapes moving through smoke. Marcus drew a simple projectile weapon, a human-made pistol that fired metal bullets instead of energy. The palace guards looked at the primitive weapon with surprise. Human, General Korax said. That ancient weapon cannot hurt beings with advanced armor. Marcus aimed at one of the shadowy figures and fired. The bullet struck the Shadowkin attacker, who cried out in pain and became fully visible before collapsing. The armor protects against energy weapons, Marcus explained, but they did not expect simple metal bullets. More Shadowkin appeared in the hallway. Marcus quickly gave orders to the guards. Stop using energy weapons. Use anything that fires solid projectiles, crystal shards, metal spears, even thrown objects. Their cloaking does not work against physical attacks. The guards followed Marcus's advice, switching to backup weapons that fired solid ammunition. Suddenly they could fight back effectively against the Shadowkin infiltrators, but there were too many enemies and more kept appearing. Marcus realized they needed to reach a more defensible position. Your Majesty, is there a secure bunker in the palace? Yes, the Queen said, but it is 3 levels down and across the main hall. Marcus looked at the battlefield around them. The main hall would be full of Shadowkin by now. A direct route would be suicide. Then we do not take the direct route, Marcus said. Your Majesty, do you know the maintenance tunnels? Queen Vexithara looked shocked. The maintenance tunnels? Those are for servants and repair work. A queen does not crawl through such places. Today you do, Marcus said firmly. Unless you want to be a dead queen. Dr. Velith looked horrified. Human, you cannot ask Her Majesty to crawl through dirty tunnels like a common worker. I am asking her to survive, Marcus replied. The Shadowkin will expect us to use the main corridors. They will not think to guard service tunnels. The Queen stared at Marcus for a moment, then made her decision. Show me these tunnels. They found an access panel behind a decorative crystal sculpture. The tunnel beyond was narrow and dark, designed for Zephyrian maintenance workers, not for royalty and their guards. I will go first, Marcus said. Your Majesty, stay close behind me. Guards, watch our rear. They crawled through the tunnels for what felt like hours. The Queen's royal robes tore on the rough surfaces, and her crystal crown scraped against the tunnel ceiling. But she did not complain. Human, she whispered as they moved. How did you know about these tunnels? I studied the palace layout when I arrived, Marcus replied. In my experience, the best escape routes are usually the ones no one wants to use. They were halfway to the bunker when they heard voices ahead. Shadowkin soldiers were in the tunnel moving toward them. Marcus held up his hand for silence, then whispered to the Queen. Can you make your crystal body glow very brightly for just a few seconds? Yes, but why? When I give the signal, make yourself as bright as possible. The Shadowkin have been hiding in darkness for centuries. Sudden bright light should blind them temporarily. Marcus counted to 3, then shouted, Now! Queen Vexthara's crystal body blazed like a star. The tunnel filled with brilliant light, and the Shadowkin soldiers cried out in pain, covering their eyes. Marcus and the guards attacked while the enemies were blinded. Within seconds, the tunnel was clear. Brilliant strategy, human, General Korak said with new respect in his voice. They reached the secure bunker just as explosions echoed through the palace above. The bunker was a small crystal chamber deep underground, with its own power supply and communication systems. We should be safe here, the Queen said. But Marcus looked worried. Your Majesty, this bunker is designed to protect against normal attacks. But the Shadowkin have had centuries to develop new weapons. We need to contact your fleet and call for help. Dr. Velith tried the communication systems but found only static. Something is jamming our signals. Marcus examined the jamming interference on the displays. This is not random jamming. Look at the pattern. It is designed specifically to block Zephyrian communication frequencies. But how could they know our exact frequencies? General Korax asked. Ambassador Krivak, the Queen said bitterly. He gave them everything. Our defenses, our communication codes, our security protocols. Marcus studied the interference pattern more carefully. Your Majesty, I have an idea. Human communication technology works on different frequencies than yours. If I can modify one of your transmitters, I might be able to get a message through. Do it, the Queen ordered. Marcus worked quickly, using tools from his personal kit to modify a Zephyrian communicator. His human technology was primitive compared to theirs, but it worked on principles the Shadowkin had not expected. After an hour of work, Marcus managed to establish contact with the Zephyrian fleet. This is Admiral Thex, came a voice through the static. Your Majesty, what is your status? Admiral, the palace is under attack by Shadowkin forces, the Queen replied. We need immediate assistance. Understood, Your Majesty. But there is a problem. We are detecting a massive energy field around the palace. Our ships cannot approach without being destroyed. Marcus felt his heart sink. Admiral, can you describe this energy field? It appears to be some kind of dimensional barrier. Ships that enter it simply disappear. Marcus closed his eyes, thinking hard. Your Majesty, the Shadowkin are not just hiding your daughters. They are using them. What do you mean? Royal Zephyrian blood has special properties, does it not? It can power certain types of ancient technology? The Queen's crystal body went pale. Yes, but that knowledge was lost centuries ago. Only the oldest records mention such things. The Shadowkin remember, Marcus said grimly. They are using your daughter's life force to power a weapon that can destroy entire fleets. That is why they wanted all 3 princesses. General Corax stood up angrily. Then we must attack immediately before they drain the princesses completely. No, Marcus said. A direct attack is exactly what they want. The weapon is powered by the princess's life force, but it needs time to charge. If we attack now, they will use the weapon to destroy your fleet. Then what do you suggest, human? The Queen asked. Marcus looked at the displays showing the battle above. We do something they will not expect. We stop thinking like a military force and start thinking like humans. Meaning, we cheat. We break the rules. We do something so crazy that even the Shadowkin cannot predict it. The Queen stared at Marcus. You want to rescue my daughters? Yes, Your Majesty. While they are focused on the battle here, we slip away and find where they are really hiding the princesses. Without the royal blood to power their weapon, the Shadowkin cannot maintain their dimensional barriers. That is suicide, General Corax protested. We do not even know where the princesses are being held. Marcus smiled, that strange human expression that confused other species. Actually, I think I do know. The Shadowkin are creatures of habit. They will hide the princesses in the same type of place they have always used, somewhere dark, isolated, and impossible to reach. Where? The Queen demanded. The Void Nebula, Marcus said. It is the perfect hiding place. No normal ship can survive the journey, and no sensors can penetrate the interference. You are right, the Queen said slowly. It is the perfect hiding place. It is also completely unreachable. For Zephyrian ships, yes, but human ships are built differently. Getting out of the palace was harder than getting in. The Shadowkin had taken control of most of the building, and their dimensional technology made them nearly impossible to fight. But Marcus had learned their weakness. They expected logical, predictable behavior. Instead of fighting their way out, Marcus led Queen Vexithera through the palace's water recycling system. They crawled through pipes filled with cleaning fluid, emerging in the maintenance bay smelling terrible but undetected. Your Majesty, Marcus said as they reached the hangar, do you have a ship that uses minimal electronics? The Queen looked confused. Why would we want a ship with minimal electronics? Our advanced systems are far superior. Because the Void Nebula destroys electronic systems. We need something simple. The more primitive, the better. They found an old cargo hauler that had been scheduled for scrap. It was 50 years old, built with basic systems and heavy shielding. To Queen Vexithera, it looked like junk. To Marcus, it looked perfect. This ship will barely make it to the edge of the solar system, the Queen protested. Exactly, Marcus said, starting the ancient engines. It is so old and simple that the Shadowkin will not even notice it. And its basic systems might survive what advanced ships cannot. As they lifted off from the palace, Marcus could see the battle raging above. Shadowkin ships flickered in and out of visibility, attacking the Zephyrian fleet with weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. Energy beams curved around corners, and explosions happened in multiple dimensions at once. The Void Nebula is 3 days away at maximum speed, Queen Vexithera said, studying the navigation display. But this old ship will take a week to reach it. Then we better hope your daughters can survive that long, Marcus replied grimly. The journey gave Marcus time to learn about Queen Vexithera as a person, not just as a ruler. She told him stories about her daughters, how Princess Zara loved to study military strategy, how Princess Kira could read 50 books in a day, and how Princess Naya could make flowers bloom just by singing to them. They are not just the future of my empire, the Queen said quietly. They are my children. I have failed them. No, Marcus said firmly. You did not fail them. You trusted the wrong person. But that is not the same thing, and we are going to bring them home. Queen Vexithera studied this strange human who spoke to her like an equal. not like a subject. Marcus, why are you helping us? Humans have no reason to care about Zephyrian problems. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Your Majesty, I had a daughter once. She died in an accident when she was young. I could not save her, but maybe I can save yours. The Queen understood then why this human fought so hard for her children. He was not just helping an alien queen, he was trying to heal his own heart. On the second day of their journey, their ship's sensors detected pursuit. 3 Shadowkin vessels were following them, slowly gaining ground. They know where we are going, the Queen said. Krivak must have told them about the Void Nebula. Marcus studied the pursuing ships on their primitive scanner. Maybe that is good. Good? How can it be good? Because they are following us instead of staying to protect your daughters. The more enemies we draw away, the fewer will be guarding the princesses. But the Shadowkin ships were faster and more advanced. By the 3rd day, they were close enough to attack. Energy bolts struck their ship's shields, causing alarms to sound throughout the cargo hauler. Shields failing, Queen Vexithara reported. We cannot outrun them. Marcus looked at the approaching edge of the Void Nebula. The space ahead was filled with swirling purple and black clouds that blocked all light from the stars beyond. We do not need to outrun them, Marcus said. We just need to reach the nebula first. But our ship will be destroyed the moment we enter those energy storms. Maybe, or maybe the Shadowkin. Ships will be destroyed first, Marcus. Pushed the old engines to maximum power, racing toward the deadly nebula. Behind them, the Shadowkin ships fired everything they had, trying to stop them before they could escape. The first tendrils of the nebula reached out like dark fingers, touching their ship's hull. Immediately, half their systems shut down. Warning lights flashed red throughout the bridge. Electronics failing, the Queen reported. Life support at 50%. Good, Marcus said. That means the Shadowkin ships are having even more trouble. He was right. Behind them, the advanced Shadowkin vessels were being torn apart by the nebula's energy storms. Their sophisticated systems could not handle the chaotic forces that filled the space around them. But their own ship was dying too. One by one, systems failed. The lights went out, leaving only emergency power. The artificial gravity failed, making them float in their seats. Marcus, the Queen said quietly, I do not think we are going to survive this. We will, Marcus said with determination. This old ship is tougher than it looks, and humans are very good at surviving impossible situations. For 6 hours, they drifted through the nightmare space of the Void Nebula. Purple lightning struck their ship constantly. Gravity waves tossed them around like a toy. Strange energies made the metal walls sing with alien music. Queen Vexithara had never experienced anything like it. Her people lived in ordered, predictable environments. The chaos of the nebula was like a living nightmare, but Marcus seemed almost calm. Your Majesty, this reminds me of a storm I was caught in once on Earth. The same feeling of being completely powerless against forces you cannot understand. How did you survive the storm on Earth? I stopped trying to fight it and learned to work with it instead. As if to prove his point, Marcus began using the nebula's chaotic energies to navigate. Instead of fighting the gravity waves, he let them push the ship in new directions. Instead of avoiding the energy storms, he used them to charge their emergency systems. You are insane, the Queen said, but she was smiling. No rational being would try to navigate like this. Exactly, Marcus grinned. That is why it works. After hours of chaotic travel, their sensors detected something impossible. A structure in the heart of the nebula. It was huge, dark, and completely hidden from the outside universe. That has to be it, Marcus said. The Shadowkin base. The structure was like a massive crystal grown from dark energy. It pulsed with purple light that seemed to absorb surrounding space rather than illuminate it. Strange towers reached out in all directions, connected by bridges that existed in multiple dimensions at once. How do we get inside without being detected? The Queen asked. Marcus studied the alien structure. We do not try to hide. We do the opposite. No, what do you mean? We announce ourselves. We make them think we are exactly what they expect. A desperate queen coming to negotiate for her daughters' lives. But that will put us directly into their hands. Yes, it will. But it will also get us close to the princesses. And once we are inside, we can do what the Shadowkin never expect. Which is? Marcus smiled that strange human smile. We can be unpredictable. They approached the Shadowkin base with their communications open, broadcasting Queen Vexithara's identity clearly. Immediately, dark ships emerged from the structure to surround them. A voice spoke in their ship, cold, emotionless, and filled with ancient hatred. Queen Vexithara. You have come to watch your daughters die. I have come to bargain for their lives, the queen replied, playing her part perfectly. There will be no bargaining, but you may witness their final moments before you join them in death. Their ship was pulled into the structure by invisible forces. They passed through barriers that existed in dimensions beyond normal space, entering a realm where physics worked differently. The docking bay was filled with Shadowkin warriors, tall, thin beings wrapped in darkness that moved like living smoke. Their eyes glowed with purple fire, and their presence made the air itself feel cold. Your Majesty, Marcus whispered. Whatever happens, remember that humans think differently. When I do something that seems wrong, trust me, the Queen nodded. I trust you, Marcus Chen. You have already done the impossible by bringing us here. As they left their ship, the Shadowkin surrounded them with weapons that could kill with a thought. But Marcus was not looking at the weapons. He was studying the structure around them, memorizing every detail. Somewhere in this dark fortress, 3 young princesses were waiting for rescue. And Marcus was going to make sure they got it, no matter what the cost. The Shadowkin leader stepped forward, a being so wrapped in darkness that it was hard to tell where the creature ended and the shadows began. I am Krivak, it said with Ambassador Krivak's voice, but changed by centuries of hatred. Welcome to your tomb, Queen of the Zephyrians. Marcus looked at the creature that had once been a trusted advisor and saw only evil, but he also saw something the Shadowkin did not expect him to notice. A small, glowing crystal hanging around Krivak's neck, a crystal that pulsed with the same light as Zephyrian royal blood. The princesses were here, and they were still alive. Now came the hard part, saving them without getting everyone killed in the process. Krivak led them through corridors that seemed to bend reality itself. The walls were made of crystallized darkness, and the ceiling showed glimpses of other dimensions where different versions of the galaxy existed. Marcus tried not to look up. Seeing alternate realities where humanity never existed was disturbing. You want to see your daughters one last time before they die? Krivak asked Queen Vexithara. How touching. Royal sentiment will be your weakness, as it always has been. They entered a vast chamber at the heart of the fortress. In the center stood 3 crystal pillars, each containing one of the princesses. Princess Zara, Princess Kira, and Princess Naya floated unconscious inside the pillars, their life force being slowly drained by dark energy conduits. Queen Vexithara cried out and ran toward her daughters, but invisible barriers stopped her from getting close. You monster, she shouted at Krivak. They are just children. They are the future rulers of an empire that enslaved my people. Krivak replied coldly. Their deaths will power a weapon that will destroy every Zephyrian world. Perfect justice. Marcus studied the chamber carefully while Krivak spoke. The weapon was more advanced than anything he had ever seen. Energy from the princesses flowed through crystal conduits into a massive dark sphere that pulsed with dimensional power. But Marcus noticed something important. The weapon was designed by beings who thought logically and planned carefully. Every system had backups. Every process had safeguards. It was perfectly engineered, and that was its weakness. Impressive, Marcus said aloud. The Shadowkin really did survive all these centuries. But I have to ask, why wait so long for revenge? Krivak turned his glowing eyes toward Marcus. Human, you think your primitive mind can understand plans that have taken centuries to complete? Maybe not, Marcus admitted. But I understand one thing. You could have killed Queen Vexithara and her daughters at any time. Why bring us here? Why show us your weapon? Because I want the Queen to understand the scope of her defeat before she dies. When this weapon fires, it will not just destroy Zephyrian worlds. It will tear holes between dimensions, allowing my people to bring armies from realities where we never lost. Marcus nodded like he was impressed. So you will have infinite armies from infinite realities. That is brilliant. But what happens if something goes wrong? Nothing can go wrong, Krivak said proudly. Every system has been tested. Every possibility has been considered. Every possibility except one, Marcus said quietly. What do you mean, human? Marcus smiled that strange human smile. You planned for everything logical. You planned for desperate attacks, for technical failures, for power overloads. But you never planned for something completely illogical. Before anyone could react, Marcus pulled out a small device from his pocket, his emergency communicator, modified with Zephyrian technology. But instead of using it to call for help, he threw it directly into the weapon's energy core. The device was tiny and should have been harmless. But it was designed with human electronics that worked on completely different principles than anything the Shadowkin had ever encountered. When it hit the dimensional energy field, it created a feedback loop that the weapon's logical safeguards could not understand. Alarms began sounding throughout the fortress. The weapon's energy readings went completely chaotic. "What have you done?" Krivak screamed. "I introduced chaos into your perfect system," Marcus replied. "And chaos is what humans do best." The dimensional weapon began to overload, but not in any way the Shadowkin had planned for. Instead of exploding outward, it began pulling energy inward, creating a reverse feedback loop. Marcus ran to the crystal pillars holding the princesses. "Your Majesty, help me. We need to break these crystals now while the weapon is unstable." Queen Vexithara understood immediately. She focused all her energy into her crystal body, making herself glow brighter than a star. The intense light cracked the dark crystal pillars. Marcus used his projectile weapon to shatter the weakened crystals completely. The three princesses fell to the floor, unconscious but alive. "Zara, Kira, Naya!" the queen cried, rushing to her daughters. But Krivak was not finished. "You may have saved them, but you have doomed everyone else. The weapon is now pulling energy from every dimension at once. It will destroy this entire region of space." Marcus looked at the chaotic energy readings and realized Krivak was right. The weapon had become unstable in a way that was even more dangerous than its original purpose. "How do we stop it?" Queen Vexthara asked. "You cannot," Krivak laughed madly. "Only someone with royal Zephyrian blood can control the weapon now. But using it will drain their life force completely. You must choose, Queen. Save your daughters or save the galaxy." Marcus looked at the weapon controls, then at the queen and her daughters. Princess Zara was starting to wake up, her crystal eyes fluttering open. "Your Majesty," Marcus said quietly, "there might be another way." "Tell me." "The weapon needs royal blood to control it, but it was designed to drain that blood slowly. What if we gave it what it wanted all at once?" Queen Vexithara understood what he was suggesting. "You want me to sacrifice myself to save everyone else?" "No," Marcus said. "I want us to trick the weapon into thinking it is getting what it needs." Marcus pulled out a small medical kit from his emergency supplies. "Your Majesty, I need some of your blood. Just a few drops." "Marcus, what are you planning?" "Something completely illogical," Marcus said. "Something no rational being would ever try." Marcus took the drops of royal blood and mixed them with human blood from his own hand. Then he added the mixture to his remaining electronic devices, his watch, his scanner, his backup communicator. "This will never work," Krivak said, but his voice sounded worried. "That is the point," Marcus replied. "Human technology mixed with royal blood should be impossible. But impossible is just another word for hasn't been tried yet." Marcus connected his modified devices to the weapon's control system. The mixture of human electronics and Zephyrian royal blood created something the weapon could not understand. A control system that was both logical and chaotic at the same time. The weapon's energy readings stabilized, but not in any pattern the Shadowkin recognized. "It is working," Queen Vexithara said in amazement. "But for how long?" "Long enough," Marcus said. He was sweating heavily, and his modified devices were smoking from the strain. "Your Majesty, you need to get your daughters out of here. The weapon is stable for now, but I do not know how long I can maintain this. I will not leave you here, Marcus. You have to. Your daughters need their mother. And someone needs to tell the galaxy that humans are not as primitive as everyone thinks." Princess Zara had fully awakened now. She looked around the chamber with confusion. "Mother, what is happening?" "Marcus is saving us all," Queen Vexithara said simply. But Marcus had one more surprise. "Actually, Your Majesty, we are all leaving together." "How?" Marcus pointed to his devices connected to the weapon. "I am not trying to destroy the weapon. I am trying to reprogram it." "Reprogram it to do what?" "To send us home." The chamber began to glow with dimensional energy. But instead of tearing holes between realities, the weapon was creating a stable portal. A doorway that led directly back to the Zephyrian palace. "Impossible," Krivak whispered. "The weapon cannot be used for transportation." "It can if you think like a human," Marcus said. We do not see a weapon. We see a very powerful engine that someone forgot to use properly. Queen Vexithara helped her daughters to their feet. All three princesses were weak but alive. Princess Kira looked at Marcus with curiosity. "Are you the human who came to save us?" she asked. "I am just someone who thinks differently," Marcus replied. "Your mother is the one who really saved you. She trusted a stranger from a primitive planet." The portal was fully formed now, a shimmering doorway that showed the Crystal Palace on the other side. But Marcus was still connected to the weapon controls and his devices were beginning to fail. "Go," he told the queen. "I will follow when I can safely disconnect from the weapon." "Marcus," Queen Vexithara said, "if you do not survive this, I want you to know that you have shown me something important. Humans are not primitive. You are just different, and sometimes different is exactly what the galaxy needs." Marcus smiled. "Your Majesty, I have no intention of dying here. I have too much to do back home." The queen and her daughters stepped through the portal. Princess Naya turned back at the last moment. "Thank you for bringing us home," she said simply. Marcus disconnected from the weapon controls just as his devices finally failed completely. The weapon's energy readings went chaotic again, but without anyone to drain, it began to shut down safely. Krivak looked around his collapsing fortress with defeat in his glowing eyes. "You have ruined everything. Centuries of planning destroyed by one primitive human." "Not destroyed," Marcus said as he stepped toward the portal. "Changed. That is what humans do. We change things that everyone else thinks are fixed." Marcus stepped through the portal just as the Shadowkin fortress began to collapse. Behind him, the Void Nebula swallowed the last traces of the ancient enemy. He emerged in the Crystal Palace to find Queen Vexithara waiting for him, her three daughters safe beside her. "Welcome home, Marcus Chen," the queen said. "How can I ever repay you?"